All right, let's get right into it. I want you to picture your body's energy system for a second. Think of it like a huge city's power grid. When everything's working, the lights are on, the city is buzzing, it's all good. But what happens when that grid gets compromised? Well, the whole system starts to flicker, and things just fail. Today, we're going to break down the blueprint for getting that power grid, your power grid, fully back online. So, let me just ask you, does your body ever feel like it's in a constant brownout? You know that feeling, right? That nagging fatigue that just never seems to go away? The brain fog that makes it hard to focus? Or just feeling, well, completely run down all the time? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. This isn't just about being a little tired. It's a huge red flag for a system-wide energy shortage happening right down at the cellular level. So what in the world is causing this massive energy crisis? Well, more and more evidence is pointing to a hidden saboteur, something in our modern environment that's quietly throwing a wrench in the works, disrupting our internal ecosystem, and literally cutting the power. And you might be shocked to find out it's hiding in plain sight, right in our food supply. And that saboteur's name? It's a chemical called glyphosate. As you can see here, it's the main active ingredient in a lot of common herbicides. Now, you've probably heard that it's considered safe for humans because our cells don't have something called the shikimate pathway. And you know what? That part is true. But here is the giant, massive catch. Our essential gut bacteria, they do have that pathway. And for them, glyphosate acts like a powerful, broad-spectrum antibiotic, basically carpet bombing our internal ecosystem. And here's where it gets really sneaky. Look at how selective this damage is. Glyphosate is especially harsh on our most beneficial bacteria. We're talking about the good guys like Lactobacillus and Bifidurium. When they get wiped out, it creates this biological vacuum. It's like an empty real estate niche. And guess who's more than happy to move in and take over? The more resistant, opportunistic pathogens like Salmonella, Clostridium, and Candida. It is literally a hostile takeover happening right inside of you. But the sabotage, believe it or not, goes even deeper. It's a classic case of mistaken identity. See, glyphosate is a master of disguise. Its molecular structure looks almost identical to glycine, which is an absolutely critical amino acid. It's a building block your body uses for everything from repairing Russell to making your master antioxidant, glutathione. So your cells, in a rush to build and repair, can't always tell the difference. They mistakenly grab this toxin instead of the real thing, which, as you can imagine, leads to faulty parts and system-wide chaos. This disruption doesn't just stay put in the gut. Oh no, it effectively severs the main power cord that connects our gut health to our cellular energy production. And this critical connection has a name. It's called the gut mitochondria axis. This table just perfectly illustrates this partnership. Think of your gut microbes as the signalers. Their job is to break down fiber from your food and send out these powerful chemical messages, like something called butyrate. Then, your mitochondria, the tiny engines inside almost every single one of your cells, they receive those signals. They use them as fuel to crank out ATP, which is the actual energy currency your body runs on. So, when the gut is a mess, the signals get weak, and the engines just start to sputter out. And look, this isn't some small fringe issue. The scale of this problem is absolutely massive. Research now confirms that a staggering 54%, more than half, of the core species in our gut microbiome are vulnerable to the damaging effects of glyphosate. I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like firing over half of the most critical workers in your body's energy factory. And what's the end result? It's a direct hit to your energy levels, a big one. When your microbiome is compromised and can't send those vital signals, the ATP production in your cells can plummet by as much as 40%. That is the biological reality behind that brownout feeling. It is not in your head, it is in your mitochondria. Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But the really good news is that there is a clear, actionable solution. There's a way out of this. It's a 4-step restoration plan, and it's designed specifically to get your body's power grid fired up and back online. It's called the RISE protocol. So, as you can see, RISE is an acronym. It stands for Reset, Identify, Support, and Excel. It's such a simple, logical sequence, especially for someone who's just getting started on their gut healing journey. First, you reset. You clean house, get rid of inflammatory foods, and as many environmental toxins as you can. Then you can identify the specific imbalances with some functional testing. Next, you support the system by rebuilding that gut wall and reseeding it with all the good microbes.
And finally, you excel, which is all about building the long-term habits like great nutrition and restorative sleep that keep you healthy for life.
Now, to really execute this plan, you're going to need the right tools for the job. So let's think of this next section as us opening up the official gut repair toolkit. We're going to look at the specific items you need to get this job done right and bring that power grid all the way back to full strength.
First things first, you gotta bring in the cleanup crew. We call these binders. Things like humic and fulvic acids or activated charcoal, they act like these powerful molecular sponges inside your gut. Their whole job is to trap and bind to residual glyphosate and other toxins, which prevents them from getting reabsorbed into your system. This is absolutely critical. You simply cannot rebuild on a toxic construction site. You have to clean up first.
Okay, next up is a really clever biochemical strategy. Remember how glyphosate pretends to be glycine? Well, this saturation strategy is how we fight back. By supplementing with about 3 to 5 grams of real glycine every day, you essentially flood your system with the good stuff, with the authentic building block. This literally crowds out the imposter, making it way more likely that your cells grab the correct tool for repair. It's such a simple but powerful way to outsmart the saboteur. Now that the toxic mess is being cleaned up, it's time to bring in a brand new workforce. And we use a two-pronged approach for this. First, we use resilient spore-based probiotics. Think of these like snipers. They're tough enough to survive your stomach acid so they can get down into the lower gut where they're needed most to start the reconstruction. Second, we apply the 3-ferment rule. This is simple. Just try to get 3 different types of fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi into your diet daily to really boost that microbial diversity. And finally, tool number 4. You need the mortar to repair the wall. You've probably heard the term leaky gut. That's a damaged gut barrier. We need specific nutrients to patch things up. As you can see here, things like L-glutamine act as the primary fuel for the cells lining your intestine. Collagen, or bone broth, provides the amino acid building blocks to seal up the junctions. And a key mineral compound like zinc carnosine is absolutely essential for repairing that mucosa lining and bringing integrity back to that critical barrier. So, the big question, how long does all of this actually take? Look, it's really important to set realistic expectations here. This isn't an overnight fix. Your body recovers in these predictable waves, and getting back to full power is a process that unfolds over several months of consistency. Let's just walk through this timeline. The cool part is you'll start to notice the first changes really fast. The microbial population can start to shift in just 24 to 72 hours, which often leads to an immediate reduction in bloating. Then, within about 2 to 4 weeks, as that gut barrier starts to repair, you might notice the brain fog lifting and your skin clearing up. But the real prize, the deep, sustained cellular energy from healthy mitochondria, that comes after 3 to 6 months of staying consistent. That's when your cellular engines fully regenerate and hit a brand new, powerful, healthy baseline. Now, a quick but very important heads up. During that first week or so, you might actually feel a little bit worse before you feel better. This is known as a Herxheimer or die-off reaction. As all those harmful microbes are getting kicked out, they release toxins, and that can cause some temporary fatigue or maybe a headache. Please hear me on this. This is not a sign of failure. In fact, it's a powerful and positive sign that the protocol is working. The cleanup has officially begun. So here's the bottom line. The damage from these environmental toxins is very real, but so is your body's absolutely incredible capacity to heal itself. The science is clear, the tools are available, and the plan is laid out right in front of you. So really, the only question left is, are you ready to stop living in a brownout and finally flip your power switch all the way back on?